Apparently, security is tight in the Metacentre, so your second meeting might be a little harder. Try and give yourself another hour to prepare if you have the time. Alex Dubois worked for Chance Crow, so find out what he knows. Don't let me down.
Harvey, as you know, we've had lots of people calling up Gale and claiming they have information on who caused the explosion at the Bowman-Carson building. We had one just a few minutes ago which seems to hold some weight. A family member of one of the workers killed in the explosion mentioned that they were at a tour this morning where you are right now. Have you seen any evidence of this? If you can find any evidence at all of a cover-up, please keep it with you. Again, it seems very conspiracy theory, but you never know. Chat soon.
Hey, JT!
I tell you what really hurts. Didn't matter where you came from, because you only fit in if you chipped in. There's no funny benefits to money mine. If these tossed some 10% less money than they do now, they would be able to.
It's not a night with your friend, 'cause it's so bad I just can't
It's a helicopter, Steve. How many Brits have you actually seen robbing or gambling in the streets? Not many. And you know what? If you don't want the French here, then put down your bloody big house. You know what I mean? Some of them are almost like a child. Words with every word. All them parties. I'll catch you later. Oh, there's smoking in here. What are you doing? Lost Mr. Miller. Someone around here? If I find anyone here, there's gonna be trouble. If you're in there, you gotta come out. Oh, you got past me. Hello? Is there anyone?
No floppy disks detected. 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 No floppy disks detected.
See you. Mr. Miller, what the hell are you doing in here? One chance. Get out. Runs away when I'm talking to him.
No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected.
I gotta get back. Hey, I know someone's in here. What's going on?
Okay, sir, this is off limits.
Hey, alright, how you doing?
Look, man, when are you gonna learn your lesson? Stay out. I mean it. What you need?
Doors opening. Doors closing. Please enter PIN. Doors code accepted. Access granted. Doors closing.
You can't be here, sir. Look, man,
No
when are you gonna
floppy
learn your
disks
lesson?
detected.
Stay out.
No floppy disks
I mean it.
detected. No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected.
I'm so Scottish. Look at me. I'm amazing.
Yeah. Shut it, Haggis head.
Doors opening.
I can still hear their voices coming down the
Closing.
corridor.
Doors opening. Doors closing.
I know that sounds mean. Have to face you, so we can live that dream. Yeah, you don't believe it. You don't believe it. Doing it right. Doing it right. So run awake.
No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected. Please enter PIN.
I am far too. You can't be here, sir.
floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected.
Okay, so, working on my British accent, so I don't have to put any more lies on my resume. Here goes. Cockney. We've got to hide the body under the apples and pears, governor. Core, blimey. You were only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Okay. Scottish. Steve, what are you doing? Get back to work, you wee bloomin' nuisance. Consider this ye final warning. Do this, do that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, Irish. You shut your face now. Summerfields, sounds of the 60s, 70s and today. Playing all the songs you've been listening to for the past 20 years and you're still bored of. Next up, we have this little wee beauty by Buzzkill. What's next? Oh.
Amy, I love you, Amy, it's true. And when I'm next to you, I don't feel blue. When we're together, time just stands still. And I want to ask you, so I think I will. Will you go to dinner with me?
The truth, does it?
Look, I just want to get to the bottom of all this, simple or complicated. I want to close the book on it and move on.
We do want the same thing. Look, Scarlett thinks I'm a racist. She blames me for most things these days. She's far too detached from the reality of things.
Are you a racist, Mr. Bowman?
I believe in what I'm doing. Quite frankly, I don't care how you perceive that.
So you believe in arresting, how did the Turing Post put it, Grints, for the security of the nation?
I hate hate that word. And the Turin Post, for that matter.
But you don't hate immigrants.
Of course not. I pity them, I suppose.
Did you pity Mr. Dubois' family? Did Mrs. Carson come to you about Alex Dubois? Did she know something was going to happen?
Nobody could have known this would happen.
Did she suspect something was wrong?
Scarlett's a cynical person. That's a part of who she is.
I have to say, I find you to be a particularly evasive person, Mr. Bowman.
Look, if you want to ask me if I had anything to do with it, then bloody ask. Everything else is, quite frankly, asinine. Yes, I was close to Scarlett. Yes, I knew her husband. No, we didn't see eye to eye on many things. And she probably blames me every day of her life for things that were out of both of our control. So, if you're going to ask me, then just ask. Ask me if I had something to do with it.
Yes.
Doors opening. Doors closing. Doors opening. Doors closing.
Hello, Mr. Miller. Right on time.
No floppy disks detected. No floppy disks detected.
I don't know why you want to talk to me, but I've been told I have to accommodate you. I do hope you have something interesting to ask. This is Miss Allison Whitworth. I'll be translating for you if you have any questions for her. Should we just get on with it? You want to ask me about Carla's answer machine. I have no idea what you're... That means nothing to me. Oh, what do you need to know? Sounds ominous. Has Carla done something wrong? From the night it happened. Right, that is something. Listen, between you and me, Allie's one of the good guys. Try not to involve her in something bad. Fine. I'll ask, but don't push it. What do you want me to say? Nice and simple. She says no. Just that. She's telling the truth. Obviously, she didn't hear it, either. Yeah, no, she says it was definitely broken, so there was nothing to hear.
Not the happiest of vibes to go for in a time like this, but if the government gets its way, there may not be much opportunity to play beautiful folk music again, unless you count the records
No,
that we
she would have said.
on the hip stations.
Are you trying to find out what the answer machine said or something?
At her funeral, they wept.
Oh. And is she? A little backhanded, if I'm honest. I'm not sure I approve of your technique. Shall we move on? It's a piece of software. We call it Digital Shadow Casting. DSC for short. Silhouette is its working title. Sorry, I know not everybody talks nerd, but do you understand technology, or you want me to elaborate a little? Sure. It installs a background OS that copies any and all information used on a computer. After a certain amount of data is gathered, or after a certain time, the data is packaged and sent to the Silhouette server in the basement, where we collate and serialize the data however we'd like. We have an algorithm that can highlight pertinent tagged matches, commerce, economics, political values, home living, etc. We sort it all and then macroanalyze the nation's preferences. It's pretty amazing, really, and we're the first company to make use of the tech. What did you think we did here? I mean, really, it's all written in black and white. The Union Act, Mr. Miller. The country is about to vote it in. Well, yeah, part of it, sure. You'd have to read the Union Act for yourself. I'm not a lawyer or a politician, Mr. Miller. It's not something I'm happy getting into. It's all legal. The Union Act is a contract. If people want it, they vote for it. Other than that, I just do my job and try to keep my head down. How so? That's because they're focused on immigration. They really shouldn't be. I mean, we gather information on people in the system. If they're not a part of the system, if they don't have a national insurance number, there's nothing to gather. It's just common sense. You can't crunch the data if you can't gather it. But the act is so much bigger than that. You read the news and everyone thinks we're... The immigrant problem is just a small byproduct of the act. Processing data is what it's really all about. And the Silhouette is how we do that. Trust the news to completely miss the point. That's a very crude way of putting it. But that's the basic idea, sure. We're not getting away with anything. We're doing our jobs. Speaking for myself, I'm not here to school the mob outside on what I do for a living. I see them every day, screaming, shouting, hurling objects at my staff. They can't be reasoned with. They can't be made to understand because they've already made up their minds. And the newspapers haven't cottoned on either. It's not my fault. And it sure as hell is not my problem. I'm saying I'm not responsible. That's very different. Now, shall we move on? I'm not sure if that's a question or... Well, people are scared of things they don't understand. That's all. I think the key thing to take from this is that if you want to make the country better, then you can't be frightened to offend a few minorities. That's the best way I can put it. What doesn't offend them? The most common thing I hear is that people are going to be kicked out of the country. Now, I can't help that from happening, so I try to avoid letting it affect my work. But I hear it over and over, like no one wants to admit the border control problem. Let me put it like this. You leave your window open in your house one summer's day and a whole bunch of flies come in. You try to remove them, but the flies are coming in faster than you can get them out. Do you want to keep trying to catch the flies, Mr. Miller? Or do you perhaps want to think about shutting the window? I shouldn't have expected you to understand, Mr. Miller. What's Bowman's role in all of this? Or what's Bowman like as a person? That's what you really want to ask, right? Well, I'm not going to get into details, but he's basically the commander-in-chief. If it wasn't for him, none of this would be happening. All of the software, all of the Union Act promotion, it all starts here. Charles Bowman created all of it. Well, yeah, sure, but I don't want to talk about that. After, after... Well, he died in the explosion. I'm sure you know all of this. But Bowman was the one who really held it all together. His company's grown exponentially since he took over, and we're all grateful. Well, enough not to want to tarnish his memory, Mr. Miller. Next question. I do. I'm basically second in command now, so I have a lot of responsibilities. The company has a more singular set of goals now, and I'm happy to be a part of that. About the company? Sure. I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't, would I? Excuse me, Mr. Miller. What the hell are you talking about? That's an extraordinarily offensive thing to ask. Not to mention out of left field. Nobody here is a racist. Where the hell did you get off asking something like that? Well, that's the first I've heard of it. But if that's what he said, then he spared us from having to hear it. Until now, anyway. I feel you can guess my stance on the matter. Out of interest, who's made that accusation? Couldn't or won't? You know what? I actually do want to find out the answer to that. I'm not comfortable continuing this line of questioning, Mr. Miller. Well, I'm sure he's got a very good reason for keeping it to himself. The company's policies are complex. I wouldn't expect you to get it. You're writing this for your book or report or whatever, right? Well, I want this part of the meeting stricken from the record, please. About the explosion? Well, pretty much what everyone else knows about it. I don't really know what you want me to say. You must know everything that I do. I was having a smoke in the courtyard. Luckily, I wasn't close enough to the blast, but I saw the whole thing. Probably in her office. Room 105. Anything else, Mr. Miller? Well, nothing. We weren't allowed back into the premises for over a week. Even then, only a handful of us were here to make sure things carried on running. The police were still here, and a detective was snooping around. I couldn't do anything without someone watching over me, or telling me to log what I was doing. Whatever they found, they didn't share it with me. I read it in the paper like everyone else. Some kind of bomb, I guess, on the gas lines. At least that's what the news said. We have a report of the official findings downstairs somewhere. Don't you believe me? Yeah, basically the gas line. She says he wrote some kind of code that overheated the servers, she thinks. He was a talented coder, much as I hate to admit it. He found out that the servers were close to a gas line that came from an external propane store and, well, you know the rest. What? Where did you get that? I thought the police had taken all of the archive data for their investigation. So, the servers had been overheating for almost a year. How was this a thing without me knowing about it? Right. So, couldn't he have been making them overheat for nearly a year? Isn't that the same thing? He wrote some bad code and waited it out. I don't see how that's any different. Either way, Alex found a way to blow up the servers and get vengeance for his family. Ah. Okay. I see your point. So, then maybe he... I can't wrap my head around this. I know Alex did it, so this must be some kind of... I don't know. A moment ago, you were probably wondering if I did it, weren't you? Look, I can't talk for anyone else, but I don't know what to say. This changes a few things. Are you just trying to catch me out? Or do you actually care about this, Mr. Miller?
Excuse me, Mr. Crow. I need to have a word with you.
Can it wait, Dan? I'm in the middle of something here.
I'm aware of that. That's what I want to talk to you about.
Right. Why are you here?
As I said, there's an ongoing investigation. I feel I've made it clear that we expect a certain level of decency. I'll try to look past that.
Start at least. Okay, security it is.
Thank you.
Right. It's come to my attention that you may have been collecting sensitive information in that briefcase of yours. I'm gonna need you to hand them over, please. I'm gonna pass them along to Charles Bowman, and when or if you have your meeting, he can decide what he wants to do with them.
Steve, please take Mr. Miller's belongings over to Mr. Bowman's office.
Sorry about this.
Oh, and we'll also need that dossier of yours. Right. Well, Mr. Miller, it seems as though this meeting is over. I'll look forward to hearing what Charles Bowman has to say about what you've been up to. Get him out of my sight.
Right, Mr. Miller. Let's go.
Keep it down, Charles. You wake the children.
I don't see what you're going to achieve by keeping your share. Why not just sign it over to me? We both want the same thing here.
We don't want the same thing, though, do we? You don't mind if hundreds of people lose their home in the process?
Yes.
No, there's no grey here. There's a very clear answer.
I don't believe that.
Charles, voice.
I don't believe that. What are you going to do when there are protests calling for this company's dismantling? What will you do then? Oh, maybe you always wanted this to fail. You're risking jeopardizing all of Michael's work. You always resented him for working such long hours. If he wasn't trying to get the changes you wanted in, then you'd probably still be here.
Get out.